Welcome back to Proud Legacy. I'm Frank DiLella. Finding a support system can be a struggle for young members of the LGBTQ+ community. They're still sorting out their roles in this often divisive world, and those lacking support from parents or friends may also be faced with some huge life challenges. According to the Trevor Project, 28% of LGBTQ+ youth have reported experiencing homelessness or housing instability, which often leads to mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. For 45 years now, the Hetrick-Martin Institute has been working on offering a safety net, providing counseling, food, housing, job training, and more to young New Yorkers between the ages of 13 and 24. Some even calling it their safe haven. Stef Manisero takes a look at their efforts.
This is my old locker right over here. No, it's 76, 76, 76. Oh, this one got stickers on it. Somebody else is using it now.
It's been years since Jaszi Jonathan Alejandro slammed that locker shut and graduated high school. To be back all this time later,
It's nostalgic because I grew up here. You know, in my adolescence into my adulthood, this was like my home.
the feeling's similar for Frank Julca.
It is a warmth that I felt when I first walked in as a 19-year-old, and it's the same warmth that I feel when I walk in now at 31.
The Hetrick-Martin Institute, or HMI, has served as a safe haven in New York City for thousands of LGBTQ youth, a place to come for a meal, or clothing, or a conversation.
Queer young people who are seeking safety, that need crisis intervention support, but also young people who are just looking to make friends and find community.
The center was founded in 1979 out of necessity.
There was a 15-year-old boy, a young person who was in an emergency shelter, who was bullied in the emergency shelter, sexually assaulted, kicked out of the shelter for being gay.
Emery Hetrick and Damian Martin, two community activists, rallied a group together to help the teen. When they were inundated by other young people also looking for help, they decided to create a drop-in center, the world's first youth services organization for LGBTQ young people.
We talk about mental health, we talk about sex ed and HIV prevention and all the things that HMI does, but when you're walking around, you see young people making art in our open art studio, you see young people dancing in our Kiki Lounge.
This Pride Month, HMI is celebrating 45 years of simply being there.
Queer young people have more self-knowledge than your average person, right? Like they have to figure out who they are on their own through cognitive dissonance, through self-discovery, bravery, confronting all kinds of myths about what it means to be queer.
I knew that I was queer from a very young age, and I told myself, okay, you're queer at age 14.
Frank says understanding it himself was only the first part of his coming out journey. Step 2, he says, was finding a community.
Even at 14, I was asking myself, I know I'm queer, but will I be able to find a job? Will I be able to, make connections with people, real connections?
Growing up in Peru, a predominantly Catholic country, those connections weren't easy to find. When he moved to the city at 19, he found HMI.
And I remember the first thing that was asking me was, how are you? The second thing that was asking me was, are you hungry? How are you feeling? Do you need anything?
I remember applying for college right here with Jennifer London, and I didn't even think I could go to college. Like, I was like, college for me? Nah.
Born in the Bronx, Jaszi was going to school on the Upper West Side when he first learned about HMI.
I got to pour into myself while I was here in so many ways that I blossomed and I bloomed, and I couldn't do that back up in the Bronx where I came from.
He says it took his family some time to understand.
I don't think they liked it at first. I come from a traditionally Latin family, you know what I mean, old school, but I was meant to teach them. I was meant to help them learn.
Being back now is a reminder of how far he's come. Also, of the people he met here, no longer here.
In life, we really have to take care of ourselves and put ourselves first, and I don't think a lot of people got to do that because they didn't get to grow to do that. They were either in danger or they were, the hate crimes that was going on, or just there was different situations. I miss a lot of people that once were.
Deteriorating mental health is an issue plaguing adolescents all across the country. A nationwide survey by the Trevor Project found 39% of LGBTQ young people seriously considered attempting suicide last year. 12% did try.
All of the attacks that are happening to queer people around the world, really, but nationally, a lot of that also affects someone who lives here in a supposedly safe haven. You read the news or you look at tweets that are extremely negative, and it really makes you wonder whether you belong to the world or not.
To help, HMI has tripled the size of its counseling department since 2020. Jaszi says it was those conversations at HMI, including when he found out he was HIV positive, that taught him he didn't have to make sacrifices.
I didn't want to not be a parent. I didn't want to not live. I didn't want to not do things because HIV or being queer was like strikes against me. I wanted to be able to be all I could be and more. You know what I mean? I had this big mind that I could be like, you know, bigger than a superhero, but I'm working on it.
Today, he is working to be that superhero for others as an outreach coordinator at the new Pride Agenda, an advocacy group focusing on LGBTQ health and human services. Frank, meanwhile, is a community liaison to New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, covering LGBTQ affairs, work they both say they were drawn to because of the care they were met with within these walls.
I wanted to be able to make people feel that same way.
It's a fun and joyful place. Young people are not only transforming themselves through their interests and discovering who they are and what they can be, but they're changing what the world can be for queer folk.